June the 7th, Umbellifers. Several new umbellifers now join a growing list. At the size of rose, it is usually hogweed, Heracleum spondylium, ground elder, Agapodium podagraria, and hemlock, Conium maculatum, that are noticed the most this month. On minor roads, cow parsley, Anthriscus sylvestris, is running to seed, and the similar-looking chervil, Chirophyllum temulentum, occasionally starting to take its place. Where road salt is used, wild carrot, Dorcas carota, can often take a hold. In wetter areas, it will be watercress, fool's cress, dropworts, an anthe species, and angelica, archangelica, that are noticed. In waste areas, the Leviathan giant hawkweed, Heracleum mante gazianum, may be towering above the rest by the end of the month, and on downland, the yellow umbels of wild parsley, Pastinaca sativa, stand out. Among the umbellifers, there is a good mix of edible species and others that are similar-looking and dangerously poisonous. The rare corky-fruited water droplet, Ananthe pimpinelloides, has roots that were made into a flower that tasted of hazelnuts. It can be found at the northern edge of Dulwich Woods. Hemlock water droplet, Ananthe crocata, has leaves that are easily confused with celery and roots that look like parsnips. If eaten, death comes quickly after a few convulsions. The roots used to be called dead man's fingers, and the whole plant, dead tongue, on account of its paralyzing effect on speech. It can still be found growing happily along the edges of the Thames. One edible umbellifer increasing in popularity as a garden plant is wild celery, Apium graveolens. It also is happy to grow beside hemlock water droplet along the tidal Thames, along with the much rarer knotted hedge parsley, Turrillis nodosa. Composites. After the flush of true dandelions early in the spring, there are now several similar yellow composite flowers which can be confusing to separate. The most common ones are smooth hawksbeard, Crepis capillaris, Beak's hawksbeard, Crepis vesicaria, Mousea hawkweed, Hieracium pilosella, and Catsia hyperchiris radicata. The first of these has leaves very similar to a dandelion, but its flowers are smaller and in clusters on green or purple stems. The second, Beak's hawksbeard, flowers earlier than most, perhaps in May, and has very divided leaves, and later beak, that is, pointed fruits. The Mousea hawkweed is a little easier to identify, as its basal rosette of leaves are not toothed, that is, they have no teeth-like indentations. Catsia is quite common and usually found on grassy lawns and at the edges of paths. Its small rosettes of bristly leaves are quite distinctive, and its flowers are more eye-catching lemon yellow than the others. Its flat rosette of blunt leaves seem to survive mowing, as do its small wiry stem flowers. Its catsias refer to the small bracts that spiral up its stem. Another very common plant with a dandelion-like flower is autumn hawkbit, Leontodon autumnalis. This has noticeably round ends to its leaves. Any confusion among these species will get worse when the various new hawkweeds, that is, Hieracium species, start to appear. There are 20,000 of these worldwide, 200 in Britain, and in the region of 40 in London. Other very common but rather more easily recognized composites are the smooth sow thistle, Sonchus oleracea, prickly sow thistle, Sonchus asper, and the bristly oxtongue, Picaris echioides. The first two have big fleshy leaves which climb up the stem and are smooth and prickly respectively. Bristly oxtongue is distinguished by the white spots on its leaves, which are too bristly to touch. Other composites easy to recognize, which are now common, are nipplewort, Lapsana communis, wall lettuce, Mycelis muralis, Jack go to bed at noon, Tragopogon pratense, and the compass plant, Lutuca seriola, with its habit of constantly changing the direction of its leaves. When trying to decide whether the flower is a hawksbit hawkweed or hawksbeard, it may help that hawksbits tend to have petals which are all the same length and leaves like a dandelion. Hawkweeds often have pale yellow flowers and hairy leaves, whereas hawksbeards tend to have smaller flowers in clusters on green or sometimes purple stems. The flower heads of hawksbeards are also often reddish beneath. One of the most handsome of this tribe is the red hawksbeard, Crepis rubra, which has pinkish purple flowers. This, unfortunately, is confined to London's gardens.